Auction off damaged parts of the plane.
Try to raise funds for the next one.
Hey, Mike?
That's me.
Hey, Mike Beaver.
Oh, you're the legend, huh?
No.
Good morning.
No, I was just running around like a madman this morning.
Yeah?
What you got here?
I don't know what most of the stuff is I got, so call me ignorant, but...
Well, your plane looks okay.
Oh, you think so?
You got a few little tweaks, but they're getting you squared away?
I think so. Yep.
You know, the fleet has been around for a long time. And as it gets older, you tend to not fix every little thing, you know, that comes up. But the things that make it stay in the air have to be dealt with.
Yeah.
So I'll just see, you know, like almost all the planes that pull in that are of older, like this yellow one right here is an 83. When he bought it, just gave a few dollars for it, and he went through it pretty good. And he's a mechanical guy, he's an automobile guy. And he said, man, do I really need to address this? I said, well, it serves this purpose. It's up to you, you know, if you want to serve that. It's not going to make you fall out of the sky, but it may make you make a big mess on the runway if it comes apart while you're taxiing. So that's what you got to try to weigh all of that. Because if you take the older airplanes and try to make them like a new one, you're gonna be spending a lot of time and money on that.
Yeah.
You know, and so it can do, you know, but you got a good baseline to work with, that's for sure.
I was hoping you try to talk me into just getting a whole new machine with the hearth on the back.
Well, I would if I was you. I mean, I wouldn't fool with this piece of shit. I see they put grease in the bearing.
Is that not good?
Usually the grease comes out, gets on the belt, makes the belt slip.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't.
Yeah, I did that. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The bearing comes pre-greased, and if you're gonna do it, the way that it's done, the bearing should be spinning when you put the grease in it. So you got to be quick when you're doing that. That's how that should be done. The bearing should be spinning when you're doing it.
Yeah, I got a little machine that the blade goes like this.
Okay.
And I bet I can. Just...
If you want to try it, Once a year, a lot of stuff needs to be taken apart and checked.
Well, that's what I did. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tear this thing apart and check it out.
Well, so when he would start a turn, you couldn't get out of it. It was stuck. Well, and even then, he had to get out and do this with the wheel. You're right. That's what I told him. All right, I'm going back to work, Mike.
Alrighty, good talking with you.
Oh, yeah. We need some more of those gusset plates.
What gusset plates?
These. Oh, we don't have, or is that it?
We're gonna go get some food. I'm a little late to the party. I went to eat lunch and come back and half the plane's gone. That hole is so wallowed out.
You think that hole wallowed out?
Oh yeah, my tubes. Yeah. You know, I took this one off. I was like, oh shit.
What caused this?
The blacktop. Like I drive up over a little lip.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I got that impact. If you want to use that.
Yeah, you could take the stuff apart with an impact, but you shouldn't put it back together.
Yeah. If you would start one morning, and this is your only focus is putting these planes together, how long would it take you?
3 days.
About 3 days, yeah.
Normal use of a craft like this without landing at the places I do, how long should some of this stuff last?
It's an hourly thing. So average on the airframe, if no hard landings are done and you're not taking off and landing on grass, because typically grass is bumpy. That's where a lot of the wallowed out holes and stuff in this comes from. So if you're landing on asphalt exclusively, probably about 500 to 600 hours.
So the way I'm using it, expect to change it, what, every 200, 300 hours?
Thereabouts. Yeah.
I fly a lot, so that's going to suck.
You just got to do a lot of inspection.
These and the two axle struts, got to take those in the back and
Notch it.
we got to make some notches on them.
So if I would have got these to my house, I would have still had to do some stuff to them?
Yes. It's essentially, I mean, So what we're going to be doing is all in the assembly manual. It tells you to do it.
Oh, okay.
It's part of the 51% build process. So the reason that some of this tubing is notched, like on the bottom of these, this is a clearance issue for the bolt head.
Oh.
Because if you don't notch it, it'll go on, but it's going to be jammed against the bolt head. Now, something else I wanted to ask you if you wanted to put on there while we're doing it, since we're going to be pulling the axle anyway. These anti-torque plates.
Oh, okay.
This bolt tends to get bent from hard landings.
Oh, yeah.
And these anti-torque plates serve two purposes. One is useless to you because you don't have brakes. The other would be to keep that bolt in column. Mainly what these are for, though, if you have brakes on here, it stops the axle from trying to twist.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm just marking what side I'm going to notch. So I'm not having to...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because as of right now, these parts are identical. There is no left and a right. After I notch them, it will be a left.
Okay, yeah.
And the same with these. In the past, people are assembling these. They'll tell me that when they're putting the axle struts on or putting these nose struts on, they just don't understand why they have to pull it in to get it into the channels. The angle of these bends is designed that way, so if any of these tubes break, it's tensioned away from you, so it doesn't go towards you.
I had one of these, the bottom one. I was taking off, it was bouncy, and it sheared the bolt. And that thing came loose and dropped down. And I talked to Beaver, and he said sometimes if that thing would grab, it would like shoot you up in the back. I zip tied it together and flew it home. He's like, if you would have made a hard landing, it would have ripped apart again.
Some of the stuff you really don't want to hear.
Yeah, right?
Well, I mean, just think if the drive shaft on your truck, if it shears at the U-joint in the front and it goes down,
Yeah.
it's going to launch you.
That should for sure be checked because of the moisture. Like, I'm often flying when the grass is wet or something, or in deep snow. And it would go right in there and then just sit in there.
Well, there is a weep hole back here.
Oh, okay.
But even so, I mean, after so many hours, it's possible that it can get some rust on it. I mean, the outside of this is powder coated, but the inside is not. It's just raw steel. So,
When we punch test that, I might end up having to do that thing too, huh?
possibly.
I'm kind of glad I definitely came down here.
I mean, just from tapping on it with the drip pin that I had in my hand, it doesn't sound like it's going to fail, but we got to make sure, though.
Yeah, because I'd rather not fall down through the airplane when I'm at 500 feet.
Ideally not.
Yeah. By doing that is not decreasing the strength in any way.
No.
Yeah. What are you welding? What are you welding?
What they call the stick man. Everything is done heliarc, very cold welding.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not welding it super hot. It's just enough to burn it in, but we're trying to not warp anything. And everything is set up in these jigs. Nothing is done freehand until it's either completely tacked together or it's got most of the weld on. But everything is done in jigs.
And putting it in a jig so it's perfect or what?
It's the exact same part every time.
Every time.
Yeah, once it comes back from the powder coaters, these get pressed in, and then it's ran through a ream to size the inside of these oil lights. So they do compress a little bit because you have to press them in.
Yeah.
They don't just slide in.
Question, why are all the pipes blue and not some other color?
Color of the sky, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
They've always been that color. Well, not the bright dip, but I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't know. I can get it anodized clear to where you can't even tell it's anodized, and it costs the same amount of money.
So if a guy would want, he could have you guys dye this in green?
Yeah. For each color, there's a setup fee.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And whenever we send this tubing off to get anodized, it's when it's still in 12-foot sticks.
Okay.
We don't anodize it after it's a finished part.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll show you the trailer in the back. It's actually looking pretty bleak right now because we can't hardly get tubing. But
That's sketchy.
FAR's rules and regulations of standard operation and procedures, the way we think about how we're going to orient hardware on a plane is always what's going to happen if the nut falls off. So if a bolt is vertical, if the nut falls off, we don't want the bolt to fall out. If a bolt is horizontal, if the nut falls off, how would we determine then what direction the bolt faces? The nut always faces to the source of vibration. which is the engine.
Okay.
Because stuff tends to want to migrate towards something that's vibrating. See how this hole is not drilled in the center?
Oh yeah.
How it's off to one side? That's because they didn't do it like this.
So to figure out this pipe or tube comes without this third hole. You put it in there and then push that to line up. That's such a good idea. I feel like such a noob. I am a noob. Because on the old one he was showing me it's not center because they didn't do it like that. I took my rocket off the thing because I just felt like it's just sitting back there doing nothing. And plus, I probably would have never pulled it unless my wings rip off or something.
Well, at the altitude that you were doing all that at, it would make a shit bit of difference if you had that parachute on there anyway.
Yeah, right. So then I took it off and I'm like, this thing will never shoot off. I mean, it's been on there since, who knows, since Noah floated the Ark probably. Yeah. And
I've had these rockets be on a plane that was underwater for weeks and it's still fine.
Super old. I don't know if it's loud or not. Yeah, it worked. Well, that would have been good to know. Dude, that was dumb. Yeah, CFI, he said, treat a prop like it's always gonna start. And I didn't do that with that rocket. Like, if I would have been standing behind it.
Oh, it would have killed you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Either that or you would have been seriously injured.
So my thing is, the rocket might go off, but the chute, if it's packed in there for so long, it could be.
So the reason why they repack the chutes, they open them up and they check them for any mildew, and they got a pull tester that they use on some of the threads to make sure that everything is okay. And while it's out, they sprinkle it down with fresh talcum powder so that the chute doesn't stick to itself. Because that's another issue. It can go out and stay crumpled up and not open.
No shit.
Yeah, because these chutes don't have a riser on.
Yeah, School of Hard Knocks teaches you a lot, but sometimes it can hurt you. Like, that was something that, yeah, it was just dumb.
Something that not wise man said to me is, if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.
Dealing with those rockets is it's a little sketchy. Essentially, all I'm doing is I'm tightening these nuts down because I saw you got a lot of squish tubing on here, and we're gonna straighten that out. I'm tightening this nut down just enough to where the bolt can't turn freely, to where I got to use a wrench to make it turn.
Okay.
That's that.
So you were saying about squished aluminum, like what's, I mean, of course it's not good, but what's bad?
Eventually you're going to shank the nut on the end of this. So I mean, you can keep going until, you know, there's nothing left, but it's not just the tubing getting squished that's an issue. This flat spot that's on here, that typically wouldn't happen if this wasn't. This channel, we're going to open this channel up before we put the other tube on. You see how this doesn't go on there? You got to force it. That's because this got squished.
Yeah.
And you got stuff you can hang on the wall when you get home. That's all I gotta do.
Yeah. I do, because we haven't even looked at the wings.
All right, well, y'all gonna get the landing gear down too?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the landing gear off.
You need a break?
Does this plane live outside?
No. Well, it did for a little bit, because I took it out of the hangar it was at.
There's your airplane.
I just replaced that thing too. Yeah, I see it. Jeez.
What happens when you fly hard?
Same thing.
I guess I gotta go to an airport and just putt around like everybody else,
No,
huh?
that's boring. Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's boring. It's the same thing like with cars. If you're gonna ride hard, the harder you push it, the more it wears.
The more parts you gotta replace.
Yep.
Used parts pile.
Souvenir.
You'll auction off damaged parts of the plane.
Try to raise funds for the next one.
Who had the Chinese takeout when they were putting the wheels together?
Them?
No, I'm talking about on the inner tubes and shit around the rim. They had a Chinese takeout menu wrapped around it.
What?
On the inside?
All the evidence is on the table.
So they did that so they can cover the crack.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a way you can put this together where it's not an issue anyway.
I mean, it gets bad, bro.
That one passed. Oh.
Shit.
It shouldn't be this tight coming off.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You gotta take that off? Why you gotta take them off?
Yeah, it's got a little gink in it.
How's it going? Yeah, you should see the airplane has been dismantled. The sun has set and we got the ultralight tore apart, so it will be tomorrow when we try to start putting it back together. We've done more than I was thinking.